Hey everybody, welcome to episode 1, and I kind of hope it's the only one. All the rattle cans. Stand by. Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. All three of you meaning all three channels. Hold on a second. This is for that one guy that hates it when I do this. At the current moment, there are 3 publicly accessible YouTube channels that fall under the Rattlecan moniker. And I thought the best way to update as many people as I could across as many spectrums as I could with the least amount of effort was to do one of these. So we're going to cover what's going on all 3 channels. If you only watch one, you may not even know the other 2 exist. If you don't care about the other ones, that's okay. I'll try not to make this too terribly lengthy. The number 1 channel, the one that's been around the longest, Rattlecan Guitar Restorations. I have heard and read and am digesting your suggestions for getting the new frets on the Lone Ranger guitar to properly seat themselves in the fret slots. And as you'll see as we get towards the end of this video, that is that's taken a step back a little bit. Those suggestions make sense. I get them. I have plans to implement or at least talk about a majority of those, and then we'll get that one going. The second channel that's going on right now is the Rattlecan Fab Shop channel. Parts are on the way for this big compressor tank we bought, I think, last summer. We've just gotten to the point where we're finally able to order a whole bunch of parts. I just broke down. I got tired of trying to fit pieces onto this 2-cylinder air pump that I got as a bonus when I went out and I bought that big electric motor. Nothing is working. So we just went with replacement parts. Those have been shipped out of the folks at E-Replacement Parts in Utah, and I know you guys have had a little go of some rough situations there, what with the earthquake and everything. If that has affected you, then we're praying for you. And I'm very thankful that I was able to order those online, and in very short order, they are on the way. We've got a couple of things that are on pause that were planned, that were actually going to be filmed probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time frame. We were going to try to weld some 6013 3/32 rod on some steel plates using the Prime Weld 225. That's my TIG welder, but it will also do stick welding. Never stick welded with that before. So one of the things that we were gonna do is we were gonna do a test and see how they worked and see how we could get them dialed in. That's on pause because of space requirements. I'll tell you about that in a second. Another video that we were going to do is we were going to try to do a little more explaining and do some work on a testing back purge fixture. If you've been to weld school and you're doing TIG welding, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you haven't been, if you're kind of learning on your own, you might not have any idea what we're talking about. You use it when you're doing metals for like stainless and for titanium, among others. And so we were gonna do that, but guess what? We got space issues. We'll talk about that in a second. Mrs. Rattlecan'S House is the 3rd channel, and that one has kind of been on hiatus for a while because there's not been a lot going on as far as the restoration process. We're moved in. We've got a couple of things that are planned for more towards spring. We do have some refinishing of some molding in the house that we need to get done. Some molding in some doors that needs to be stripped down and refinished. That is planned for when the weather gets consistently nicer. And we're still in the planning stages about trying to get some raised garden beds going. And we're back and forth between a couple of different methods of doing that. One of those involves actually using organic type soil. Another one of those doesn't. It involves using potting soil, which is generally not mixed with organics. That's kind of in the planning, but that's what's going on those three channels. And then now let's talk about why there's nothing going on those channels. Number one is the on hold for space problem. We, being me and the mouse in my pocket, I'm minorly adept at doing automotive repairs. I have just recently replaced the rear brake calipers and pads on the truck, and I've got something going on with my parking brake or my emergency brake, which is of course on the back wheels. So we have had to pull the truck back into the shop. When we pull the truck into the shop, there's not a lot of space in here. Everything gets jammed over to one side to make space for the vehicle. And if you have done this kind of work yourself, you'll know that the big problem is getting those freaking rotors off of the back hub. Now we're doing the standard heating it up and then beating the snot out of it, and they are not budging whatsoever. So we're kind of at an impasse. I mean, the replacement parts for a vehicle like this are huge anyways. That's kind of the downside of having something this big, is everything's big on the truck. So I think what we're probably going to do next is you know how much I hate buying tools. I've asked around. None of my friends have one of these, so I'm just kind of biting the bullet. And I've got a hydraulic gear puller, so we can maybe put some preload on these and then beat the crap out of them. And hopefully that's there's just rust on the back side of it, and that stuff just doesn't really want to let go. So that's why the truck is in the shop. That's why everything is mooshed over to one side. That's why it's put a hold on a bunch of other things. But even that is on hold because on Thursday night, we had just some torrential rains come through, and they trained right over us. If you don't know, training is when you have storm after storm after storm come over the same spot, almost like it's a train on a railroad track. And we had that happen, and we got, I think Miamisburg, which is just a stone's throw away over to one side, they got 3.5 inches overnight. We got upwards of 2, and because of the position of our property, we get a couple of properties that drain into our yard. I'll see if I can't find some of the footage from 2 years ago when it was horrible wet, and we get this big flood river that goes through our side yard into our backyard, and then eventually into a ditch. But because of the heavy clay makeup of our soil, that water wants to stay there. That's how we discovered that we had a leak in our foundation, and which turned into a great big huge project. We repaired that because we had access to both sides of that foundation crack. We used hydraulic cement and got that taken care of. That has been fine. I've had zero signs of any leakage from that. So then once we got the rains on Thursday night, because the weather alert radio wakes me up because within the space of probably 20 minutes, we had 4 alerts go off for severe thunderstorms. We got pea-sized hail. We had flash flood warnings go out. I noticed that one of the rugs downstairs was a bit damp, which has not surprised us in that one location before. But then when I came back down, I saw this. And this is something that will make you not happy when you have an active spurting water intrusion into your house. It's not huge. We're not talking gallons a minute. We're talking, I would fill up a 3-gallon bucket in 15 minutes. But if it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to do this without waking everybody up in the house, that can be somewhat problematic. And then the power went out. So you go from having light and having electricity to your shop vac to darkness, and all you can do is hear the water because the water doesn't run on electricity. So that made for excitement. Once the water had an opportunity to drain away from the front part of the foundation, that eventually slowed down, then it eventually stopped. The power came back on. I mean, everything's okay. But now we have this issue that I need to fix. So Allied Technologies down in Fairfield, Ohio, they make a epoxy-based foundation crack repair kit. And I want to give a big shout out to them because I ordered this. Their order deadline for same-day shipping was 11 a.m. and I placed my order at 12:30. Shortly after that, I got an email. They had confirmed my order. Shortly after that, they had shipped my order, and about 24 hours later, UPS just dropped it off. So we have the kit, and now that's what we're going to do. So in the works over the next few days, we have a foundation repair video to make for Mrs. Rattlecan'S house. I'm not necessarily making a video on how to beat the living snot out of rusted brake drums. I mean, I probably could, but I'm just more interested in getting that done. When I get that done, that frees up the shop. All the stuff moves back into the equipment area where it's normally supposed to be, and then we can get back to making videos for the Fab Shop as well as the guitar channel. So that is what's going on. And I haven't even touched on, I call it the human malware that's going on right now that has a lot of us sheltered in place. I don't have sage words of wisdom. I just have, I have dad verbiage. Wash your freaking hands. Socially distance yourself. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. This is not, unless you've got some weather interaction going on, you have electricity, you have water, you have internet, you have Netflix, you have Xbox, you have, God forbid, each other. I took part in a 1-hour Facebook Live prayer meeting today with the people in our church. We'd not done something like that, and that was nice to see people that I knew, pop in and offer up comments, and to see people, praying for each other and finding out how we can help. Our church had our grand opening last weekend with, I think, 11 people in the congregation, mostly because it was staff was there. And so we are effectively an online campus now. So if you're looking for comfort, if you're looking for music, if you're looking for solid teaching and ways to cope with what's going on with this human malware crisis that's going on, check out Fearless Church. BeFearless.org is the website that'll get you there. So anyways, as I said, hopefully this all gets resolved soon. I will never have to do an all the Rattlecans update, and we'll just get on with our lives. If you have questions or comments, you can stick them in the comment section down below the sermon notes. Be nice to one another. You guys have a good one. Cheers.
If you enjoyed watching this episode of Mrs. Rattlecan'S House, consider checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, and to get the latest updates on our progress, like us on Facebook. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Perhaps we should have some wine.